Okay, back again. I'm just trying to work on this peak now. I've got these made up and they're joined in, so it's semi-rigid, and none of the back of it is made yet, but I'm going to move forward with the peak, and to do that I've got to cut all of this away and try and salvage this mesh that's underneath here. I'd like to keep that because apparently it changed, and this is the original kind, so I'll probably get that out and put it in some electrolysis overnight, clean it up and go from there. But this is the before, and we'll see how we go. Well, after a lot of working at it, I'm not going to use a swear word, I'm trying to stay calm here. I got the peak in. I managed to salvage most of this, and I've got this tacked in now, so it's sort of half semi permanent, and I've got this tacked into the peak. So what that means is this is going to be where its final placement is, and the windows fit in well now, so I'm confident to take this out very soon. But before I do that, I'm just going to tackle something a little bit lighter, and I need to, on this channel there needs to be a housing for the windscreen wiper motor. So I'm just going to, well, what I've done is I've cut a washer in half, and I'm just going to lay it up there and weld it to this top part, and then drill out the hole to match this one here. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I think it's just quicker for me. I don't have the machinery to press one of these out correctly, so I didn't want to have to cut a big straight line, and that's what I had at the time. So this is just a small price I have to pay now to get that right. So anyway, I'll continue on. Okay, so I'm getting a bit of momentum now, and I know when I feel that I've just got to keep going. So this, I tacked these in originally just to get a bit of scope on what was going on, and I'm getting closer to the final positioning of it all now. I've started to weld on the back side of here, so this is starting to get quite strong up here now. You can hear that it's not moving. So now you know, I'm closer towards getting this side of the vehicle done now, because a lot of this side is sort of all buttoned up. But you know, I just come here before, and this section here was sitting up on this lip, because what I did originally is matched up the flange to the flange, and then later on I realised I had to tune this down. So what I've done is I've drilled this hole out and just put a bolt in there so that it stays lined up while I do this, and I've got a similar thing going on over there just to keep these down, because they keep wanting to pop up. So just with movement, I mean, you can see that moving one thing moves two or three others. So I've just recut that and dropped it back down, and I'll just re-weld it closer to there now, and then I'll be able to tune that edge down, and that'll give me that couple of millimeters I'm looking for here. Once this is all sort of half welded in, I can come in with the hammer and dolly anyway and get all of these corners, but you really can't do any of that stuff while it's flapping around in the breeze like this, because it just makes other things fall off the vehicle. But happy with what's happening. You may not be able to see there. No, I don't know how to work the flash yet. Give me a couple of years. But I'm starting to get all of that upside welded in, and I'm going to have to clear out all of this now. I was just using this as a storage area for all of the junk that I haven't put in the bin, but that's my excuse and I'm going to stick with it. So, progress. The peak looks good from the side. Anyone who wants to comment, please comment. I'm noticing now that this line here is a little how's it going? I might have had a beer when I was doing that. But I don't think that's going to matter because I have to put a riser here. It's about 4 millimeters, 3 or 4 mils of steel, and then the hinge is going to go on that. That'll give me the distance out so that the hinge sits flush to the front face of the window. So otherwise the window would sort of sit like this. It wouldn't be allowed to get back down because of the hinge clearance. So I'll be covering that anyway, so I'm not too worried there. But that's a bit dodgy. But anyway, can't help what's done already. So yeah, I'm not going to cut that out and redo it. No one will ever notice. This will all be covered with rubber, and as I said, this whole section here will have another piece over it. So that's life. But move on. But yes, I'll give you a shot. So there we are. It's getting there. It's not quite right yet. The whole roof section is actually racked this way. It's only because that side of the vehicle is caved in and it's pulling it slightly to the side, so it does look like it's off just a little bit. You know, your mind's eye will be saying, oh, something's not quite right, but only focus on that side. Don't worry about this side just right now because none of this has been held on. It's only got one tack halfway down the vehicle, literally one tack weld, and the whole vehicle's not even attached to the side of the floor. So my whole philosophy is just to get one side sort of half buttoned up, and then I can move on to that side because there's a lot more work to go down that side. I've built the doors, I've built the plate, the sill plate. None of it's welded in, so the doors aren't even on their posts, so it's all just, you might be able to see it. It's like caved in and it's pulling the roof. It's actually lifting it up at the back, so it's dropping it down at the front. That's why if you look here, this channel looks like it's dipping down. It should actually be up at this height, but it's dropping down. So it needs to be lifted up, and then I'll be able to build all of this off. So I think my next step is definitely going to be clearing this out, putting some sort of seat in there, getting the welder in there, getting myself a nice light set up. Probably take the doors off now. I feel that I'm comfortable enough to take the doors off now. I've got a brace welded up to the frame here that goes to the top section here, so nothing's going to cave in when I take the doors off. And then I can, first off I'll weld the inner roof, or the inner of this, weld that up solid, and then I've got a back piece that boxes that all in. So there's a backing piece that boxes it all across. I'll weld them in, and that'll be rock solid then all the way across. And then probably work on the backers for this. So they're actually a bit more triangulated than I thought. This piece, so this piece goes like that along the back, but this gap here actually widens out towards the bottom. I'm realizing now, you can probably see through the other way, the gap there down the bottom is wider, and there's a joggle on this plane, and then it triangulates out. So I'll probably have to cut these and add a fillet in there as well, but I'll work my way down. So I'll work across the top, keep it flat, and then I'll work my way down to as far as I can with this one piece. And then, excuse me, and then cut it where I have to, and then build to the door pillar from that, and then come underneath here and weld all the way across. I've got the position that I can actually weld in from behind now because I haven't got the dash in. So I'm going to do a continuous weld. The top lip of this, it comes up, and then this goes over the top of it. So where the two meet at the back, I'm going to run a continuous weld all the way across, and that's really going to solidify this front end. Get this in, double check windows. I've got to attack this joggle here. It's got to meet that flange. This is just a line that I've drawn roughly to remind myself later that I have to do it before I weld. And then I'll probably curl this edge over a bit more to meet that. And then wherever this ends up, because it will get moved over this much. I like the idea of doing it this way too, because it's easy for me to adjust now. Like one little cut with a grinder from a tack, either up there or down here, and I can move this in or out and really just fine tune the whole lot. So definitely leave this till last as far as this area goes. That's flat, so weld that up and then work the back of that, leave this section, and then work that last, and then I'll be able to get my windows fitting perfectly. Remember, I didn't have any of this stuff, so if you've only just sort of watching this for the first time, if this isn't like some guy's got a bus and he's just fixing it up. This was basically just a big pile of rust. So I only had certain parts to work with, and I'm just it's a challenge for myself. So these, this is that essentially. That's what I have to work with. That's the other side, but that's what I've got to work with. That's what I've got to make a pattern off. And this is really an exercise for me in honing my skills as well. Like, this is something totally new for me, building something this bad from the ground up. So it's really about my templates and pattern making skills. And I know how to panel beat and stuff like that, but this whole structure wise is new. So continuing and always going forward, never giving up. So yeah, anyway, I wanted to ask, it's quite strange, I don't know if many of you people out there know these buses much at all, but this bus is a little different than most. It's got some strange vents at the top, at the rear. They're like an egg shape that sit proud of the roof, and there's two of them, one either side, but also right at the peak here, just about there's two screws that are coming down from this panel. So they must have been welded over or brazed over or something, but I had never noticed them until I got up in here before. And there's two screws that are coming down. They're like that, if anyone, I'm guessing it must have been some sort of vehicle with something on the front of it, because I don't recall ever hearing about these buses all having screws on the inside of the nose peak roof, the peak of the roof. So maybe it's got something to do with the ventilation inside there. But if anyone does know, Mike F Garage probably knows. He seems to have got a lot of experience with these vehicles, so he probably, if you're out there, if you're watching, please leave me a comment, because I want to know what that's for before I cut this roof. I don't want to cut it up here. I was going to before, straight across to build all this up off the vehicle. I was going to build this whole framework up off the vehicle. And then I looked up in there and there's a couple of screws hanging there, and I know little details are quite important with these older vehicles, so I left it alone. Like this mesh, you know, this is different over the years, and there's a dimple there and stuff like that. So if anyone's ever seen that before, please let me know. I want to know what it's for, and I'll try and replicate what it was used for. I reckon ambulance. Nah. Don't know. Maybe an airport vehicle. Don't know, but yeah, give me a comment. And everyone else too, give me a comment, because they make your day. Anyway, I'll bring you back.